Antonio had a real combo about Confessions versus 8701, and we were in there arguing, and I think I was Confessions. If I recall correctly, I was in Confessions, but I kept bringing the song up, and I think I played it for JayDon because he had never heard it, and that told me, you know what, let me just sample it. But it's called How Do I Say, and I always had the idea to play around with it, whether it was cover or like completely reimagine it just from a actual song standpoint, but I never thought to sample it until I ended up in the studio with JayDon, and we played around, and I just made this loop on the spot just on some, oh, this is a vibe. And I think just the nostalgia of these sounds, like these are not from new drum kits. These are from some super old 808 joints, and we felt the vibe. He's a dancer. He was just dancing all over the studio. That's when I brought it up into the session. Let's see. Remove some stems. Let's split them and. Needed the bass. In the words of Ninth One, I say this all the time. If you hear the loop, don't overthink it. Do not overthink the loop. Just loop it. Throw a little low pass over the sample. Open up the chord wave station. For the longest in the studio, I think before we started writing, we knew that was the melody we wanted to hit. Originally, I think we had that melody as a hook, not as the pre-hook, which it ended up being, but da 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 So another thing I like to do a lot is I like to layer the sample. Even though it's the same chop, it's the same loop, I like to pitch it up, pitch it down, layer them together, maybe add some effects on one, or add like an LFO on one and then not on the other, so it sounds like it's moving. So what I did was I layered it with a pitched up version of the sample that wasn't low passed, gave it a little top end, had it go brow motion so it was moving. It sounds different than the original. It's just it's dynamically letting the sample do a lot of the work, but it's also not overthinking it. So we get this. I also added this. Once I opened up them chord plugins, it was over because it also like smacked me that the 2000s was a lot of Triton. It was a lot of the ESs and just those keyboards. So I definitely just leaned into that wave station a lot. I opened up the Triton, found a little string sample. Something up there, so. Simple, but it's in your ear. Hooks coming in, just bring everything back. I'll be good. overthink it. If you listen to all of them records, I study that era. I really study that era just from a writer's standpoint, but also as a producer. There's not a lot going on. Let what you're saying shine. Let the writing shine. Let the harmonies. Like, we're bringing vocal production into it too. Leave room for that. So in that session, I was acting as the vocal producer, as the writer, and as the producer. You know what I mean? I was there with JayDon, and my job was to get what he was feeling and make it work, make it palatable. So we knew what vibe this was. Super easy. It's not a lot happening. Just knowing when to put the drums, when to drop them. Like, it's just simple as that. So now we get to the bridge. I knew before we started writing we need to have a bridge part, because we're not gonna do this sound and do this vibe without an actual bridge. And I knew what it was gonna be. It had to have him yelling, yearning. It had to have him go up. We gotta end this on a different key than we started it. So I found another part of the record, which is the hook of the record. Ironically, we turned the hook of the original record into the bridge. Say hello, I just wanna talk to you. How do I say you're beautiful and I can't take my eyes off you? So I just took that, stem separated it, of course, and so now I'm working with the pieces. So I took the instruments, I let them live, but the vocals, I muffled them and threw the low pass on it. Let me bring those up a little bit. And then we gotta bring it up. Bring it to church. And I know after that bridge, we got the drums, we got the bop a little, but we gotta have a little pause so he could do the offbeat, re-sing the hook. You know what I mean? Do all the extra vocal inflections that we gonna try to re-sing, but we can't sing because we don't got his voice, and let him take us to church. Because if we give that suspense without no drums, he's a little offbeat, so he's playing with the tempo. How much all the high notes. But we're creating the suspense so that when these drums and everything comes back, he could go crazy. And I'll be good. Bro, I kid you not. I love this song so much. So with JayDon, my biggest thing, and what took the record, we made the record in about 2 hours. Not even, maybe an hour. It was easy to write. It was very easy to write because can't tell you sorry, can't say my bad was something that I was sitting on for a minute. I was sitting on those words. So I brought them in for the first verse. We had the melody already. Make you cry. Actually, on that whole pre-hook, we were stuck. And as simple as those words are, we were overthinking it. We was like, what's the best thing we could say to a girl? We trying to get her back. And for the whole, like, for both verses, we were leaning into our experiences. We was opening up our phones, looking at text messages from our shorties. Like, what would we say to our shorties when trying to get them back? But for some reason, because we had the melody already, we were overthinking it crazy. And that's when I brought in Philly. That's when I brought in Vanessa Nettie, and she just came in, and it was better to have a woman there, because it's like, all right, what do you want to hear from homie that messed up? And it was more with her, like, us just throwing lines of her saying no or yes, and when we got that reaction from her on certain lines, and she contributed, of course, that's when it turned up, man. We got that pre-hook done. That's and then the second verse was easy to write because writers will tell you the second verse is always the easiest to write. I think the hardest part of the record was actually getting it on wax, because I had done the reference, and I love Jay to death. He's one of the most incredible, like, actual vocalists I've worked with, and he's so technically gifted that he can sing. And after a while, I was just like, yo, gang, don't oversing it, and that was our biggest thing. But he got it done, man. It was a lot of runs. It was a lot of runs to get to what y'all had today. But I was really preaching to him like, hey man, take them to church at the end. Let's create a melody that'll stay in their mind. Let's not over sing it, because I'm not the greatest vocalist. I'm not gonna run you to death. So imagine me trying to follow the run. But if you create a melody and you damn near infect them with a record that is stuck in their mind, then by the time you run them to death and you take them to church at the end, they're going to follow you. Think about Fantasia, When I See You. Like, that melody sticks, and we love that record to the point where when we get to that bridge and she's hitting them notes, even if you can't hit them notes, you're hitting them notes. Like, melody, and melody is king. There's always the right things being said in the right way. Once we got past that point, man, we made a hit record, and this is one of my favorite records I've made in a long time. So hey, man, I'll Be Good is out. My dog JayDon. Shout out to Usher, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, Jay Wright, Mega. You know, that's the family, and that's how I made I'll Be Good. Peace.